All right, hello everyone. This is Nathan,
Hi, I'm Nathan from Arkenforge.
and I'm Dante from Forge, and we are publishing our first video update. We're going to be going through the questions you have asked from us. We're trying to clarify a couple of things, and if you have any further questions other than what you will hear the answers to here, either message or post a comment on our Kickstarter page, and in our next video we will address those as well. Already own the Master's Toolkit plus all previous content. Will I be able to gift the extra copy of the software to your friend?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be giving you a Master's Toolkit key, which will come with the Fantasy Essentials pack. And then you'll get keys for the Sci-fi Essentials, and if you back any other packs, you'll get keys for that as well. Or alternatively, you can trade it in for $5 US of store credit and get any other pack that you want, including our third-party creator packs.
Just found them backed. I'm new to tabletop gaming, so this is my first time coming across your software. Sorry if I missed this in the text and FAQ, but wondering if I have to wait until December to be able to use access to the version that is already available. If this is an add-on to the existing platform or this is a completely new program.
Oh, yeah, we've got this a few times. So it's the exact same software, exact same Master's Toolkit that we've got out already. We've just bundled it with every pledge because we need to really, otherwise people are just buying packs that they don't get the software to, and that's not a very good thing to back for. The Kickstarter is the existing toolkit plus additional content packs if you want them. So you don't have to worry about this being a whole new piece of software that's not, and the old one's not going to be supported or anything like that. All same software. We're going to be launching a large new public update with this one. And so, yeah, and regarding the first part of it, you don't have to wait until December to access the version already. If you want, you can go out and buy the toolkit now or do the trial and get access to it. And in terms of this Kickstarter, you'll get access to the toolkit that you've backed in April when we release the Sci-fi Essentials.
When it comes to the software as well, yes, it's not a new piece of software, but when the Sci-fi Essentials is coming out, which is going to be in April, everyone who owns the software essentially gets a new version of it, because we have been working on a very massive UI and UX overhaul, and we got some awesome feedback on our community side, and that's still ongoing. So if anyone is logging into beta, they can already check out the massive changes we have made. The other thing is that in the first 3 years, we had quite a few different trials and iterations of UI, and this is not the first time we are reworking it, but this is the first time, I believe, and I hope you too, that we feel like this is a base that we can definitely build on for a longer period of time.
So anyone that already owns the toolkit, you know what it's like to get a patch. So it's just going to be that, but it's going to be a really big one.
Yeah.
April.
The other thing what was hard with the previous version as well is the documentation of it, because we made so many rapid changes to functionality and icons as well that our videos and any other documentation got old really quick. So that is another thing we are trying to combat, that once this update is actually coming out, it would have the relevant documentation, video tutorials to get you up and running in no time. How well will the new assets integrate with your older fantasy assets style-wise?
Just a little compound that's been built in the jungle, so tents and a lot of our sort of ruin-based assets, but also like spinning dish, a couple of cannons set up, nice force field perimeter. And you can see they integrate pretty well together. It's not like obvious that these are two different asset sets. So you've got our airship with a lot of our fantasy assets, but also our sort of spinning drones, rocket motors, all that fun stuff. Some cannons on the side here.
I was just looking for something like this with a commercial license to produce adventure maps. Very sweet. I know you answered the licensing question in the affirmative below Arkenforge, but you might consider mentioning it on the landing page. It was the main thing I was looking for when read through it all, and all the best with your campaign.
That has been done. We've added that to the story. So for commercial licensing, you can use it in any commercial project you like. We just need you to provide attribution to Arkenforge. So either like made in Arkenforge or powered by Arkenforge if it's a stream or something like that. Just, yeah, if you want to throw a logo in there, go nuts.
Hey, I don't really get how this works. All or nothing. This project will only be funded if it reaches its goal by Wednesday, March 31st, 2021. Makes me think the product only gets released if you get 80,000, but stretch goals started already at 20,000, or was it 25? So which one is it?
Cool. So our funding goal for this Kickstarter is 20k. So that's been met, which means that you will be getting the stuff that you've pledged. Anything after 20k is our stretch goals, which are just basically optional extras if we reach those funding tiers. So yeah, you don't need to wait until we get to 80k before the product gets released. It's already funded and will be released, guaranteed.
So it's not a question, but Wade has wrote to us, funded, yay, have some love from the Fragged Empire community. You played Fragged Empire before.
They'd be incredibly applicable to a Fragged game. Fragged's all about space. Our Deep Space Pack and Essentials are going to cover that. There's some good cyberpunk stuff in there which we can use for the sort of bigger corp cities and whatnot. And then Wasteland Pack will cover some of the planets that have been decimated by the Zion Wars. So I think Fragged users are going to have a fun time with this one.
Glad to see it being funded. Can I offer a suggestion? A set of clearly colored floors and walls for Paranoia-based maps. The Paranoia RPG is a very rigid color code class system, which among other things determines where the players are allowed to go. And what I'm suggesting is that you add a set of floors in each color or a line on the floor, marking the color of the area, possibly with a letter marking the class.
Fantasy Essentials has these colors all built in already, and ideally be bringing out the functionality so that you can just make a tile in any color that you want, rather than us having to build in the individual colors as tiles.
One of the things that doesn't necessarily come off clear with the campaign, but when we say that you get the Master's Toolkit currently includes the Essentials pack, and that's how it's going to be distributed as well. So everyone who has backed, they will actually receive the Fantasy Essentials pack as well, which is also a bunch of animations and new content. Most of that is usable even in a sci-fi environment, because when it comes to the trees, the plants and a lot of textures like stone pavements and other things are very much applicable in the new settings. We also have the solid colors in there, what you mentioned. You can use these textures as repeatables as well if you want to pull lines of it. But we also offer object manipulation. So if you choose any textures that you have in the toolkit, you can actually, if they contain any color, then you can recolor those. I'm pledging at the cyberpunk level for that sweet Lowlife 2090 that just had a successful Kickstarter. And I was wondering...
Lowlife 2090?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just checked it out as well, and another super applicable system for this. So, and I was wondering if I would be able to add another content pack after the campaign is over. Lowlife 2090 has a mega city environment and wastelands-like environment.
Cool. So once the Kickstarter itself is over, you won't be able to pledge more things, obviously. But when the packs are released, then you'll be able to purchase them on our store directly. So they'll be a bit more expensive than they are in the Kickstarter here. And I think for the Kickstarter, it works out that they're about half the price they would be otherwise, maybe. We can do the actual math on that.
It really will depend on the exchange rate when it actually gets to that. But our plan is, and that's 99% what's going to happen as well, the same as the fantasy packs. They're going to be $30 USD per pack. $30 will be the sci-fi essentials as well.
So yeah, they'll still be purchasable. They'll just be a bit more expensive. So if you do want them, backing them in the Kickstarters, definitely the cheaper way to do it. No content in the Kickstarter is going to be exclusive to the Kickstarter.
They replied, fantastic. The other question I had was, what operating system is the software compatible with?
The toolkit runs on PC and Mac. We have Linux support planned, but realistically it's about a year or so out at this point, just because none of us have Linux experience yet. So the launcher, the file management system needs to work on Linux for that. And in the toolkit, mainly the dual screen or multi-screen support needs to work. So they're the two main things you need to test, and that's going to take a bit because we're also building out more of the toolkit. So Linux is sort of a when we've got time sort of situation at this point. So yeah, we don't have any hard ETAs, but probably don't expect it in 2021.
The Masters Toolkit thing is not entirely clear for backers, and they're not entirely sure what that is and how that ties into this Kickstarter. So I reckon it would be a good discussion point to sort of go over that as well.
Yeah. So the Masters Toolkit is the software that we at Archenforge create. Essentially, it's a map builder, an audio management tool, a campaign management tool, and in-person VTT all rolled into the one piece of software. And through that, we also have our first-party content packs because we make the software and a whole heap of assets as well. And these assets are what our sort of higher pledge tiers are. But the Masters Toolkit software is what you need to actually use the assets. So you won't be able to use these assets in like Dungeon Draft or Dungeon Painter Studio or anything like that. You'll be able to export your maps into those platforms and tweak them in there if you want to. But yeah, we're a standalone software that you get with all this sci-fi stuff.
So why do we not distribute these assets as a raw format? There are a couple of different reasons for that. One of them is the format that we use for animations. The way we utilize audio is kind of unique because we build a lot of very adjustable modular pieces, both in our visual art and in audio. When it comes to audio, we have 20, 30 little sound bits that gonna be a very small part of an ambience loop. And these are gonna be always fading in and out and randomized when they're gonna appear, and which one of the 30 samples will fire up at any given time. None of the other platforms are intercompatible with our methods. When it comes to animations, even to date, the animations I've seen were either in GIF or WebM. So what we use is PNG sequences. The reason why we use PNG sequences instead of those is because, while it is a much larger file what we are dealing with, but you can enlarge these animations to a whole other degree than any of the other formats.
So like we have our full video support, the full animation support, all that sort of thing. Doing that as a map builder is not something that really anyone except Roll20 does. Foundry will let you import like a video map as the background, but you don't really get a full map editor in there because that's not how it's designed. So a lot of our functionality just won't translate across if we're releasing like the raw assets and whatnot.
Object manipulation, when you change hue, color, other things, then you can customize speed of animations and video files playback. There's a lot of things that you can use with video transparency or animation transparency, where you can pull a whole entire like weather effect of fog over a given area. So there are a lot of these settings that are not present in other map makers, and they're not designed for animation. So most of the map makers we have encountered were mostly for a production of a static image, and we're pretty much going towards being able to make video maps as well, with sound and an immersive battle map experience, and that's not something we have seen with others, and their content is not sort of streamlined towards that.
So yeah, we've been doing animated content for almost 3 years, and like we're only just starting to see other platforms releasing animation support.
Yeah, the other thing I definitely wanted to talk about is our willingness for integration. It doesn't mean that we necessarily want to restrict usage of toolkit content for our platform. For note-taking, there is Word Anvil, for example, or Ramworks, which were pretty great tools. We want to integrate to them as much as possible. Then when it comes to map building, there's Dungeon Painter Studio, there's Incarnate, there is Dungeons Draft and Wonder Draft, where the creators seem to be very open to collaborations and being able to use the maps what you export from the toolkit and integrate with their tools, or export the maps what you make with them and spice them up with animations in the toolkit. So we want to make this experience as seamless as possible for everyone. And if you're out there and you're making any sort of map making tool or tabletop related software, we want to hear from you and we want to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. If when it comes to like VTTs, like Fantasy Grounds Unity, we have our exports automatically build the line of sight for them. We'll be doing the same with Foundry once our new public version's out, with full video export as well, so you can export a video map and have all your obstacles and whatnot colliders in there automatically for your line of sight. Roll20, please get back to us. Be as sort of seamless as possible to go between the toolkit and any other platform. So, like, we don't care if you just buy us making maps or just buy us using audio, or you want to like run all your games through us. As long as we're like one link in your RPG chain and we've made your life a bit easier in some way, then we're happy. Would you be willing to offer your fantasy bundle content pack with maybe $5 or $10 discount off the $80 website cost as an add-on feature for backers of this project? I'll be honest, I'll be purchasing it anyway. I'm just hoping to save a little money is all.
The sci-fi content is not finished yet. We have finished the sci-fi essentials, but Cyberpunk and Deep Space and Wastelands is still to be made. So the Kickstarter aspect is to help to get these funded so we can pay our artists and have it completed. So we genuinely need the money to be able to bring this to your table. While when it comes to the fantasy assets, we have ran a Kickstarter with them in 2017, and the funding we have received for that, we're fully allocated of making those fantasy assets. Now, the fantasy assets are done and they are for sale on our website. So I would find it super hypocritical if we still, gathering money in a Kickstarter environment for those packs which have already been funded by the community who were behind it, and now they are available to purchase without any barrier or waiting.
Also, this is a very sci-fi focused Kickstarter. We don't want to sort of muddy the waters by throwing fantasy in there as well. So what are the system requirements to run the software?
You can get away with any multi-core processor. You need RAM, 8 gigabytes is our recommended. You can basically get away with less depending on how big of a map you build. The example maps that we have posted under this campaign were all relatively small, so you would be able to run them on any modern system. But 8 gigabytes of RAM is recommended for a smooth experience. When it comes to your graphics card, you would try to move away from the integrated graphics cards, and you want to have a dedicated one. I'm talking about any NVIDIA or AMD graphics card that has a couple of gigabytes of memory included. You should have a pretty good experience projecting to your second screen and using it on your TV and other things. If you're just building maps on it and you're not planning to run games on this, then your requirements will lower. You will be able to just build and export an image file with a lower spec system as well. Although if you want to use it for video export, you will still need the dedicated graphics card.
Hi, I have a couple of questions. Can I also stream the maps with your music without DMCA strikes? Can your software share maps with players, or is it something I have to take care of?
Yeah, so when it comes to our asset usage, anything is a go where you are not ripping assets out of the toolkit. So if you're not recording the sounds individually and not repackaging them, if you're not trying to export individual assets from the toolkit and trying to repackage them, you're pretty much good to go as long as somewhere in your stream, your description, mention that you have used our products to make your stream or maps. So if you are using it for a Twitch stream, you're most welcome to fire up soundscapes and play the music in the background. It won't be flagged. And if it's flagged, let us know and we can take that off. It's not a problem. But we are very adamant of not wanting people to, for example, export an ambience and use it for their own feature film.
And on to the second point of, can we share screens with players, or will they need to handle that themselves somehow?
you can definitely share screens with players. There are a couple of methods that we internally use as well. During the lockdown, when we played, we used Discord screen sharing just to show the players' versions of the map. So you can only do this if you have another physical screen. So it's needed to be cleared out that you need 2 physical displays. You can get around using your phone as the secondary screen if you have a software available that can do that for your app to do that for you. But the easiest method is have 2 monitors. One of the monitors will display the player screen. You can share that through Zoom, Discord, Skype, anything that's capable of sharing a screen, and it's going to pass through, in most cases, the audio as well. But you will need to move the tokens for your players. We have noticed that there is a lot more engagement in our second Kickstarter, this one, than it was with the first one, probably because we have already an established community behind us. So we really thank for everyone who has spread the word, shared, told your friends about it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for backing us. We were fully funded in 37 hours, which is a new record. So that's excellent. We're looking forward to giving you a whole heap of sci-fi content, and hopefully a whole heap more if we can get some of these higher stretch tiers done.
Thank you very much for standing up and supporting us. We are a very small team in a very small company, and we have very ambitious plans and very big plans. The same thing happened with the Toolkit back in 2017 when we launched it, and I don't think this project is any less ambitious, and we would like to keep improving the Toolkit, keep adding more content to it.
So share it with all your friends if you really want to see good sci-fi content coming out. Golden Age of Sci-Fi confirmed.